Hello, hello. Happy spring. This weather today is gorgeous. A little bit cloudy, but 70 in April. I'm so happy. So, how are you? I want to talk a little bit about this verse in Proverbs, and it is how life and death is in the power of the tongue, and those who love it eat the fruit thereof. So, yes, part of our self-care is the words we use. If we want to be less stressed in our relationships, the first person who we have our relationship with, ourselves, we go everywhere with ourselves, right? I'm going right now with myself along these streets in Brooklyn. So yes, what made me want to talk about this a little bit is I was the other week in line at the bank, and it was kind of a long line, and I wasn't really paying attention to like what was going on 5 people in front of me, but all of a sudden I heard this commotion about a dog. And as it turns out, there was a lady who had a emotional support animal dog, and she was trying to bring it into the bank. However, there was another woman at the teller's window who was terrified of this dog. So the woman who had the dog with her was trying to, it was kind of a little weird actually. She was trying to keep the dog outside while herself being inside. So she kind of like used the leash and she kind of shut the dog out, but the leash was in the door. And it was starting to get a little bit messy, I'll be honest. And there was this young man who was probably in his early 20s, and he started advocating for the dog. And he said, "Listen, lady, that is actually animal abuse. You're mistreating the dog." Then he stood up for the woman who was terrified of the dog, and he actually went out of his way to be a gentleman. And the woman who was terrified of the dog, when it was time for her to leave the bank, he actually walked with her outside. You know, he was really looking out for her. So he was advocating for a dog. He was, and the dog's safety. He was advocating for the woman, right? So he was just like this really nice young gentleman. But then he got his turn to go to the teller. And let me tell you, he started talking himself down. This young man who had been so strong in his support and advocacy of other people and animals was putting himself down. He was like, I'm in here every week. I always forget my bank card. He started putting himself down about his forgetfulness. He was talking very badly about himself. And it bothered me because, yes, we can mess up, right? The reality is he was misplacing his card a lot for whatever reason. But it does say life and death is in the power of the tongue. And so a lot of times we almost end up, well, I could actually say we curse ourselves. Not just almost, but we will actually curse ourselves, because it does say in Proverbs that life and death is in the power of the tongue, and those who love it eat the fruit thereof. So if I am speaking blessings over myself, I'm going to reap blessings. But if I am putting myself down and talking bad about myself, I am putting curses on myself. I'm not talking about this just because of this young man. This is something that a lot of people do. This is something that I've done for myself in the past. I hear people do all the time, and we have to stop this. This cannot continue. We have to be really careful that the fruit of our words that we're going to be eating and enjoying is going to be blessings. So Yes, and then that actually affects our relationships, right? Because now imagine that this young man, fast forward 20 years from now, is married with a wife, with children, and he's been talking bad about himself for being so negligent with his card, and now guess what? He might have his wife talking bad about him because he's not going to be having spoken words of blessings. He's going to have been speaking these harsh words over himself that can then translate into his relationships. And then he'll be like, why is this woman not respecting me? Why are my kids not respecting me? Well, the reason is, sir, ma'am, because you've been disrespecting yourself with your words. So a lot of times, without realizing it, the words that we're speaking to ourselves continue keeping us in those traps that we're in, that we're trying to get out of, that are frustrating us. And then they also bring things into our lives and our futures that we're not necessarily wanting. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen, of course, with this young man. That is not the point. I'm just saying that what we are speaking is life or death. So let's speak life into ourselves, over ourselves. If we can speak life into other people, why can't we speak life over ourselves? If we can advocate for other people, what's stopping you or me or anyone from advocating for yourself, right? Nothing is stopping us. Nothing is stopping you. Sometimes we get into these habits of how we speak to ourselves and we don't even realize how we're talking. So this is my challenge to you for the next 24 hours. Every time you open your mouth to say something about yourself, think about it. Is this speaking life into me or death into me? So for example, here's an example. I'm in downtown Brooklyn on Atlantic Avenue. It's a little noisy here. So yes, today I thought I was going to do some grocery shopping and get some cards for friends and family. Nope. I left my money on my desk. Yes. So the reality is I didn't get the groceries or the cards. That's the reality. But what is going to happen if I talk down about myself, about the oversight that I made? It's not going to help me. It's not going to help me remember better for next time. It's not going to help me feel good about my day. So I said, you know what? I'm out and about. It's a beautiful day. I can take this little walk around and I'm not going to be weighed down with some extra packages and extra groceries. Let me just take this time to enjoy it, to get some extra exercise in and just enjoy my day. Definitely is a little bit of a detour. I'll be going back out tomorrow with my money to get my groceries. But a lot of times, just like how our attitude is when things happen is going to affect how you talk about yourself, how I talk about myself, how we talk about ourselves. So yes, that's my challenge to you for the next 24 hours. And if you need just be able to check yourself, be mindful, pay attention to how you are speaking about yourself and others. Are you giving yourself and others the same levels of respect? Or are you putting others up and you down? All right. And if you need a little bit of support with this, with being gentle with yourself, with showing yourself love, with how you think about yourself, your perspectives, then I'm going to put a link in the bio or description box below this video. You can reach out to me and let's chat, and I will see how I can work with you as a confidence coach to begin speaking more confidently about yourself, even when you mess up, even when you make mistakes, because we all do. But what's the attitude? What's the words that we're speaking when we do mess up? How do we still feel about ourselves when we mess up, right? Sometimes we need a little bit of coaching for how to, continue transforming our thought life and how to do that so that, we're just still enjoying our lives, enjoying our relationships with ourselves and with others, all right? So, peace.